What's going on, everybody? This is Thrifty back with Thrifty PS Gamer Reviews. This is going to be my history with the Diablo franchise. I don't necessarily expect this video to do super well, but for those of y'all who watch it, please like, comment, what's a video game franchise that you have a ton of history with that's very near and dear to you, and do you think that that franchise has fallen off? And if it has, what are some things you like? What are some things you wish they did differently? For right now, we are absolutely going to be talking about Diablo. Diablo was a series that was done by Blizzard North and released in 1997. The game did get a PS1 port, and that's actually where I played it. Now, in 1997, I was 11 years old. I think it came to the PlayStation in 98. It was a limited release. They didn't have a ton of copies of it out there. And its big thing was that they actually had two-player co-op at the same time, which was really fun. And so you might be thinking, what does an 11-year-old have ties to this franchise for? Shouldn't be playing it. You're probably right. But my dad was super big into D&D as a kid when he was younger. And I say kid, when he was in college. And so by the time it came around to me being 11 years old, my dad being, mid-30s, it was very much a game that kind of spoke to both of us. I rented it one day from the video rental store that happened to have a copy, and I played it, and I absolutely fell in love. The story, the repeatable looting, the game loop, things that I know now, I had no idea of back then. I just knew that I was playing a game that I absolutely loved. Well, I remember my dad looking at the game while I was playing it, and then, just over time, just normal progression, I end up buying the game. Even back then, I had to find it on sale. But I end up buying the game, and I think I paid like $20 for it, maybe 25. And I actually bought it from the video rental store that I rented it from. I had rented from that place a lot, and the guy was like, "Hey, do you really like this game?" Because I'd rented it like 3 weekends in a row. I said, "Yes, I'd love to buy it, but I just can't. I can't really find it." Because, there wasn't internet back then, or really good internet, rather. You couldn't really do a lot of shopping online, and so I was able to purchase Diablo 1 from him. Really awesome guy. His name was Terry. I still remember the dude. He owned a place called Videotan Express in the town that I lived in. And so I remember getting this game, and I had an absolute ball with the thing. Then I beat it, my dad and I start playing it, and my dad was super big into like Star Trek and super big into like crime novels and mysteries and reading. And I wasn't as big into the reading side of it, so we didn't really connect on that level. My dad worked a lot. And so this was a time that him and I could come together and play a game together. My brother and I played this game together. And it has such a great place in my heart that when Diablo 2 came out, I was in the gaming world by this point. I was getting the magazines, I was reading the articles, I was super excited. And then I found out the one downside. Diablo 2 came out on PC only. It was released in 2002, I believe. I think that's right. 2000 or 2002. And I didn't have a PC that could run it. Never been a PC player. So I missed it. And I spent years trying to find a game that filled that Diablo itch. Because there's one thing about Diablo, it knows how to make you want to keep playing. It really does, guys. It's such a phenomenal loop in the way they design all of the weapons and the way that they design the characters, especially in the later games, it is so in depth, and the looting loop is so good. And so I kept searching. I played a little bit of PoE, played a little bit of anything and everything I could find. It was an isometric game that said it was a Diablo clone. I searched for Diablo clones on my phone. I've done everything I could to get it. And then they decide to announce D3. And I'm like, oh, Diablo 3, it's probably going to be on PC. And much to my surprise, D3 came everywhere. Heck, D3 is even on the Switch. And so, like, I'm playing Diablo 3, and I'm like, oh, man. I love the story, love the callbacks, love that, like, Deckard Cain is in it, love that Adria from the first game is in it, love that they follow the story of Aiden from the first game, and it kind of ties everything together. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a bit arcadey, and not as much of that dungeon crawly feel as the first one. And because I didn't play 2, I didn't realize that they had gone to that. I was still expecting crawl through dungeons, come out of dungeons, crawl back into dungeon. Like, which is the gameplay loop from the first one. The first one doesn't take you anywhere except underground of the church. And then you keep going until you reach hell. The second one, the third one didn't do that. So I play it, I absolutely love it. Get to the end, fill the story. I think I have like 70, 80, 90 hours in that game. And I think I've beaten it with 2 characters, and I'm working through with my barbarian on the next level. I think it's Nightmare. The first game I have beaten on normal and Nightmare with the rogue and the the warrior. And I've been able to do that. Can't beat the stupid game with the wizard because it's super hard. I can beat it with wizard co-op. But anyways, history of me with the franchise. I absolutely loved Diablo 3. And then they announce that they're doing Diablo 2 Resurrected. All they did was give it a fresh coat of paint and made it available everywhere. I scooped that game up for $39.99, I believe, and I have probably 80 hours into that game. And I've beaten that game. And I got to see, they also did fix some of the story elements. So I got to play that as well, and every time I hop in, I usually call my dad, talk with him, let him know what I found. He has a PC, and he plays Diablo 2 all the time still. The original, not Resurrected. And so I would ask him questions like, hey, Dad, what do you do here? And so even as a mid-30-year-old, it's still something that brings me back and opens up lines of communication with my dad. And then we get to talking about everything from the car, the family, how's everybody doing. But it's still that catalyst to be able to do that. And it's not like my dad and I are estranged or anything. It's just we didn't really have a ton in common growing up. You know, I personally have a kid just like that. Him and I are completely polar opposite in a lot of areas. But recently he came to me and was like, Dad, do you know anything about Dragon Ball Z? And at that point, guys, I went through the roof. I was so happy. I was like, do I know anything? Son, sit down and let me teach you the ways. And I signed up for Crunchyroll, and now we're watching Dragon Ball Z all the way through. And it's a time for us to be able to come together over something common and enjoy each other's company. He also does like gaming, and he knows that Dad likes gaming. So we're able to look and play games together. And if you have seen my profile, you know that Genshin Impact has like 190 or 200 hours in it or something like that. Most of those are from my child. But it's that thing that later on in life, I'm pretty sure if we stick with this Dragon Ball Z thing, he'll end up looking back on that franchise and that series with fond memories. Hey, this is when my dad and I sat and we watched this together. This was a show that him and I really enjoyed together. And so it's that way for me with the Diablo franchise. I absolutely love it. So, if you've been following my channel for a while, though, you might be asking, well, Thrifty, if you love Diablo and it means so much to you, why have you not played Diablo 4 yet? I'll tell you why. One reason is I really have a problem with Blizzard as a whole. For various reasons. But then one of my biggest things is being consistent. And so I can't have a problem with them, and also have a problem with some things that Insomniac has done in some of their games. But yet I praise Spider-Man 2. I praise the first Spider-Man. I praise Ratchet and Clank. But I won't give a pass to Diablo 4 because of Blizzard. So there's a little bit of bias there, and I can admit that. I'm not one of these guys that can't admit when I have a little bit of a bias or a little bit of a take that's inconsistent. Because consistency is important to me. And so I haven't played Diablo 4 yet. I played a couple of the betas, but I haven't played the actual game yet. The other thing is I don't necessarily want to give Blizzard $70. I want to play the game, but I don't want to give them full price. Part of that is because, well, it's in my name. I'm thrifty. I've already bought my 3 new games of 2023, and so now that has to reset, and next year it ain't looking good either because of all the stuff that we have coming out next year. And so I'm in this position where, yes, I'm gonna play it, but I'm not gonna play it just yet. The other reason that I haven't bought it yet, because it's on sale right now, but the other reason why I haven't bought D4 yet is because I don't want to feel like I'm pressured to keep buying stuff, or in order to play a new section of the story, you have to buy a season pass, or in order to progress, you have to buy a season pass. And people who say, well, you can play it for free. Yeah, sure you can, but at some point, that's not the point of the game. The point of the game, it seems like to me at least, is to get you through the story, which I've had people tell me it takes 50 hours. I have folks tell me it takes 12. You get through the story, and then they latch onto you and keep sucking you dry for money to keep playing the new seasons and the story expansions. I have a problem with that. God of War just came out with its expansion, or with its DLC. Added a new mode. It was free. No big deal. Last of Us Part 2 is getting a kind of an upgrade, a facelift. But that is only $10. And it's one time. They're not going to ask me in 2 more months to do that again. And so there's a bit of a problem that I have just with gaming in general that is preventing me from going out and even spending $35, $40 on the game. But it's a series that I love. It's a series that I want to play. It's a series that brings back fond memories every time I open it up. Every time I go back into Diablo, I'm instantly reminded, oh, when was the last time you talked to your dad? And it reminds me to call him. And I know this isn't a game review. I know. Thrifty PS Gamer Reviews doesn't do a lot of those anymore. I'm trying to get back into it. I had a review for Diablo 2 set and ready to go. But I kept coming back to wanting to tell my story with the Diablo franchise. It's a franchise that is so rich in lore. Like, there's books written in the Diablo universe that tell about the Sin War, that tell about the start of Baal and Mephisto and Diablo and how everything happened. There's books for this. There's lore attached to the lore that's in the game. And there's iconic characters like Deckard Cain. Like, it's a wonderful series. But I think Blizzard did a lot of damage to it for me when they added the seasons, and that's how you'd get the story content. That's how you'd be able to really participate in the next level of the game, which, in some respect, you don't have to do that. You can just play the game, play the story, and put it up. But on the other side, if this includes story content, I want to be able to play that and use that when it releases. Let me buy it for $10, a story expansion, $30 even, for some of them. Like, I think, the Necromancer one, Reaper of Souls, I believe is what it was called. For Diablo 3, that was a paid DLC. And I bought it because I liked it. And it gave you a whole nother section, and it was done. That's what I want from Diablo 4. And until that happens, I'm probably going to wait until it's about $20. Maybe 25. Let's be honest, I'll probably spend 25 on it at some point next year. Because I do want to play the game. I do want to see what happens with Lilith and how she ties back into Diablo. I want to see all of that. And I want to experience a story that is being continued from my childhood. We joke on the show that I do that nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And, you see that with games like Final Fantasy VII. It's been remade, remastered, it's been updated, it's been everything. It's been released everywhere, and it keeps doing numbers. Because that game is timeless. There's certain games out there that are just timeless. And there's certain franchises even that are timeless. I think Final Fantasy is going to be going for as long as Square Enix has their doors open. I think the same thing about Diablo. As long as Blizzard has developers there, they will keep World of Warcraft open, and they will keep Diablo open. And you know what? I'm excited about the future of Blizzard. They got rid of Bobby Kotick. I'm terrified at the same time because now they have Xbox ownership over them. Which, if there's one company that needed some outside help and outside management and outside ownership, it was ABK. And so, I'm excited and terrified at the same time. Because Diablo 4 might be the last Diablo that I get. And I don't like that. I want a Diablo 5. I don't want a Diablo Immortal 2 that's going to be predatory and expect me to spend thousands of dollars just to maintain competitive status. I want it to go back. And this is where I sound, oh, you're just a boomer. No, I want it to go back to what it was. I want it to go back to a good dungeon crawler hack and slash loot game with a good story and good lore. I don't want to feel like I'm a cow being milked daily. I just don't. So that's my history with Diablo. That is why I don't have Diablo 4. That is also why at one point I can criticize the company, but at the other point I'm faced with my own inconsistencies in that. And so I wanted to share that with y'all. I have a lot of respect for a lot of the people in this community, folks who watch my videos. I didn't want to make my Diablo 2 review 40 minutes long because people tune out real quick. I hope y'all stay, and I hope y'all watch the whole thing. If you did, leave a thumbs up down in the comments below just to let me know you watched. Like and subscribe. And guys, as always, stay thrifty.